Okay, hey everyone. Today we're going to be doing a Danish pastry dough, the brioche style. These are the ingredients that we have in your lab packet that we're going to use today. We have 5 ounces of cold milk, 5 ounces of instant dry yeast, 13 ounces of bread flour. We have 2 ounces of eggs, 0.75 ounces of melted butter. We have a teaspoon of salt, 0.75 ounces of sugar, 1.5 ounces of milk that's warm. And then what's not pictured is the butter block, but I will attach the butter block. How to prepare your butter block, which will be 8 ounces in another video. Okay, let's get started with this. First off, in a bowl, we are going to mix the yeast with the first quantity of milk, which is cold. And we're going to mix that together. Okay. Then we're going to sift the bread flour on top. Okay. Make sure there's no lumps. Okay. On top, we're gonna add the eggs, or the egg. If you have an extra large egg, that's 2 ounces, but I only have a large egg, so I had to crack open an egg and just add a little bit of it. We have melted butter. Okay. Melted butter. Okay, melted butter. I'm going to now dissolve this warm milk within inside with my salt and sugar. It helps it to be evenly dispersed in our dough. Okay, I'm just gonna do it here. This little plate I have. One thing I miss doing this quarantine demo baking is deli cups. I really miss a good set of deli cups or mise cups. Okay, so I'm gonna add that directly to my mixture. Okay, I'm gonna mix it. If you have a mixer, ideally this would be good in a mixer. It'll take 1.5 minutes till it just comes into a ball or a dough, till a dough forms. But I don't have one, and you probably don't have one either, so I'm just gonna use my spatula and just mix it till it comes together, and then I'm gonna work it on the bench. Or your table, your counter, but I have this cutting board here. I'm gonna work it on there until I develop a little bit of the gluten. Okay, it's there. It's coming together. I'm just gonna get a little bit of bread flour, just so it doesn't stick on my bench. Okay, let me add that there. Okay, stick that there. My apron's coming off. Hold on. Okay, we're just gonna work it just to develop a little bit of the gluten. You don't want to overdevelop the gluten, because once we add the butter block and we'll do the turns, we will develop the gluten then. It's a little sticky. I'm just gonna add a little bit of flour, not too much. I just don't want it to stick to my table here, but I don't want to add too much because the dough will get stiff. Okay, so here's coming together really nicely. This Danish dough looks nice. Just gonna work it just for about, by hand, it's probably 2 minutes to 3 minutes. Rather than a mixer, it's about 1.5. But I don't want to develop it too much. But if I don't develop a little bit of gluten, these Danishes won't come out high enough. Okay. All right, I think that's good. It's good to go. I could feel it. It's not sticking. It's not sticking to my hands. That's when you know we got some development. All right, so I'm going to stick that in the fridge. I'm gonna wrap it, stick this in the fridge for about 15 minutes. And then we're going to just roll it out a little bit after 15 minutes and then refrigerate it while it's flat. We're just kind of pre-shaping it so it'll be ready for our butter block later. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap that. I like to mark it Danish dough, just in case I'm doing a different other doughs at the same time. Just so you go, there you go. And then I'll put the time, whatever time I did this, so I know in 15 minutes I will be taking it out. All right, so we'll come back in a few minutes. Okay, we're back. The Danish dough has rested or retarded in the refrigerator for about 15 minutes. In my case, I put it in the freezer for 15 minutes just so the dough can chill really quickly. My freezer isn't too strong either, so I'm gonna unwrap this. Okay, it's the Danish dough. I'm gonna put a little bit of flour on the bench. We're going to roll this out to 13 by 7. So I'm just gonna roll it out to the length a little bit longer than this ruler here. Okay. Just pre-shaping it. Okay, so it should just be a little bit longer than this ruler. There you go, that should work. And then the width should be about 7 inches. Say it's about 7 right now, good. So I'm gonna leave that like that. Okay, I'm going to wrap it in some plastic wrap. Move this over a bit. Pull out some plastic wrap. Okay, gonna put this here. It's about 13 still. Okay, just pre-shaping it so when we have the butter block to add, it's already almost the same size. So I'm gonna wrap that. I'm gonna label it Danish because I'm making croissants at the same time. I don't want to get them mixed up. I'm gonna rest this for another 15 minutes or until I'm ready to use it. We'll be back. Okay, butter block time. So how to make a butter block? You need the amount of butter you need. I think ours is 8 ounces. So that's basically 2 sticks of unsalted butter. You want to unwrap them. Okay, I'm gonna slice them maybe to thirds, I guess. Remember, our butter block is going to be about 7 by 7. Get a big piece of parchment paper. Well, not so big. I think I overshot the moon here with the parchment. It's going to be about a 7 by 7 block. So unwrap your butter. What I like to do, ideally, if it's European butter, has higher butter fat, you don't stick this back in the fridge after you make the butter block. It'll cause cracking. That's what I learned from this class I took up in San Francisco. So what you want to do is just bang it, keep it cold, and then add it directly into your dough. Okay, so let me just double check the size. So I need by 7 by 7. So I just have to make it a little bit more square. What I like to do is fold the parchment paper over, okay, and I am going to fold it to the length, the size of my square already. Okay, just so I could just bang it in between. So this will be bigger. 7, just a little bit wider this way. So once you have that, then you could go to town. Oh, it's loud. Let me put a piece of, let me put a rag underneath my board. See if you could absorb the sound a little bit. Oh, never mind. Just kind of go to town. It's kind of loud to hit it for you guys, but just keep on rolling it. So I want to just make sure it's nice and soft. You don't want it too soft, too warm. You just want to work as quickly as possible to get this out to this rectangle here. Usually when I teach this in the classroom, students go to town, get all their frustrations out, and all this banging happens, which is, it's fun, but it's a little loud for me right now. Okay, I think that should be fine. So you want your butter block to at least be about 60 degrees, nothing too colder than that. Just because it's gonna crack when we add it to the either croissant or Danish dough. Okay, I'm gonna push it out to the corners here. Okay, it's getting there. So what you want is you want to be able to bend it without it cracking. See, it's not cracking, so this is perfect. All right, so now I'm gonna get my dough and integrate this into my dough. Okay, I'm gonna add my butter block to my Danish dough. Okay, so I'll unwrap this. Save the parchment, save the plastic wrap because we're gonna be using that now. So we're gonna enclose the fat. I have my butter block already made. I just made it, so I gotta kind of work quickly. So I wanna make sure my butter block fits my dough. So it'll fit just to the edge. And it has to be 2/3 the length, So because we pre-shaped it ahead of time, we don't have to struggle too much to get it to a rectangle. Okay. You notice I didn't put any flour down. It shouldn't stick. Okay. Got the littlest rolling pin in the world. So you want it to be at 2/3 the length. I don't know which way I want to do it. Okay. Actually, it might be good this way. I think we're good. We're good to go. Okay, so I'm going to, we're going to add the butter block. It should be 2/3. The butter block should be 2/3 the length of the dough. I'm going to unwrap this. Stick it right to the edge. Almost right to the edge. Okay. Okay. If there's any butter stuck to the plastic wrap, the parchment paper, make sure it comes off. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna fold this up. Okay, so this is what we're enclosing the fat. We're enclosing the fat. I just made to make sure all this butter is kind of in the corners and everything like that. Should be even. Okay. We're gonna roll this side upwards or down, and then we're gonna roll this up this way. We're enclosing the fat. This is generally a good way to add an extra fold of an extra layer of fat. So if you want to see this here, it's dough, fat, dough, fat, dough, which is awesome to start that. It gives an extra layering. So make sure this is nice and together. Okay, then you want to just flatten out your dough. Now we're going to do something called the first turn. Okay, the first turn is where we're going to do our first kind of fold. We're going to roll it out to the same kind of length we had before. Make sure I don't go all the way to the edge. Just make sure it's a good rectangle. We've got to get a good length in order to form those nice layers. Okay, this is our Danish dough. I just got to remember which one I'm doing first. Okay, good. So that's a good length. Okay, it's about 16 inches. Okay, then we're gonna do a book fold. So we're gonna fold one up or one down. Let's do what we did before. Okay, if there's some butter poking out of the one side, you want to flip it that butter is in the inside of the dough. So there was butter hanging out here, so I want to just fold that in the inside of my dough. Okay, I'm gonna fold that there. All right, then I'm going to mark it in one, wrap it in some plastic wrap. Make sure if you use plastic wrap and you mark with a marker, the marker's not touching the dough. Okay, so this is gonna be my first turn. I'm gonna rest this in the refrigerator for 30 minutes before I do the next turn, okay? First turn. Okay, it's been 30 minutes resting in the refrigerator. This is our Danish dough. We're doing our second turn right now. I'll open this, save the plastic wrap, okay? If you wanna add a little bit of flour down just to not let it stick. So now we're gonna see, this is our dough. We're gonna turn it 90 degrees. So when we roll it out and do the next turn, these open ends will be folded inside, okay? Okay, so I'm gonna roll it out to almost the same length, about 16 inches tall. To keep it as rectangular as possible. Okay, you want to make sure it's long enough just to get that bread even, the butter evenly distributed. So it's about 16, good. I always like to look for which side is uglier. Okay, so these are a little ugly. See, the butter's it's a little bit ripping. That's okay. We'll just fold this inside. So again, we fold the third down. Fold this third up. Okay. A nice rectangle. Take my plastic wrap. Remember, make sure the writing is on the outside, not touching your dough. Put that in there. Wrap this up. Okay, I'll put 2 fingers to indicate that it's our second turn, and then I'll let this rest in the refrigerator for 30 more minutes and do the final turn. Okay, time for our final turn, our third and final turn. Here's the Danish dough. I'm gonna unwrap it. Okay, it's not too sticky. I might just put very minimal amount of flour just so it doesn't stick to the board and to my rolling pin. Okay, roll it out. See how it's smooth? And it's smooth. Looks really good. Okay, roll it to a good length. Okay, good width too. Okay, it's a little gooey, so I'll just add a little bit more flour just so it doesn't get stuck. Okay, about 16 inches again or so. Sounds good. I'm gonna roll in this edge and roll this up. There you go. Okay, and that is my Danish dough after 3 turns. If you want to make your Danish dough right away, you can, first you want to freeze this dough for 10 minutes, then refrigerate it for 20, and then you could do it the final shaping. But you could also let it rest overnight and then shape later. Just make sure it rests for at least 30 minutes before you shape it. All right. Okay, we'll come back for the shaping.